going out to the whole school right there.
Students, and most of all, Hart County veterans, welcome to the 2009 Veterans Day ceremony. Mr. Jones and the Vocational Department have put together a fitting tribute to the men and women who sacrificed so much to keep America free and safe. We look forward to the remarks of Captain John Vickery, our distinguished guest speaker. Mr. Howard from the American Legion will describe Captain Vickery's accomplishments since his graduation from Hart County High School less than 10 years ago. Mr. Talbert, the symphonic band looks good and sounds great today. I know you'll all enjoy the musical selections that they will bring during the program. Coach Gaines and his technology class have produced another moving video that brings the meaning of Veterans Day into clear perspective and the words of veterans themselves. As always, our superintendent will close the ceremony by reading the names of Hart Countyans who paid the ultimate price in service to their country, and Ms. Clark from the John Benson Chapter National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution will present a wreath in their honor. And now, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Dylan Bowers, leader of the Bulldog Battalion, which planned today's ceremony, will remind us of the true purpose of Veterans Day. Cadet Bowers.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, students, staff and faculty of Hart County High School, and all of our distinguished guests. I am Dylan Bowers, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Dylan Bowers, Commander of the Junior ROTC Bulldog Battalion. Most of you know the history behind Veterans Day. In 1918, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, church bells rang and guns fell silent across Europe as the armistice ending World War I was signed. Armistice Day became a holiday in the United States in 1926 and was designated a national holiday 12 years later. On June 1st, 1954, Armistice Day was changed to Veterans Day in order to honor all United States veterans. Some of our students here today know the history behind the holiday. Some of our guests make history themselves. Veterans of World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Persian Gulf, Afghanistan, and many other conflicts are here with us today as honored guests. Your presence and your sacrifice are a silent tribute to all who have served. You remind us that though we wish the armistice of 1918 had ended war for all time, the sad truth is our freedom and liberty requires constant vigilance. Right now, young men across the United States, some from Hart County, are standing watch around the world in order to keep our freedom safe. Will you please all join me in a round of applause for all of our veterans? And now, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, presentation of colors, and the national anthem. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. And now, please direct your attention to the screen being lowered on stage. A video produced by Coach James' technology class will now be shown. It is now my pleasure to introduce Mr. Charles Howard, Commander of Post 109 of the American Legion, who will introduce today's guest speaker.
Thank you so much for allowing the American Legion to participate in along with your ROTC folks in this wonderful Veterans Day ceremony. And we are grateful to have a place to come as this is. And I guess we need to say that our tax money is at work. Thank you to the high school, Dr. Hicks, Mr. Gibbs, school board members, and faculty and veterans. Thank you for allowing us to be here. Not only are we dedicated to our veterans, but we support our men and women who are in the field today in many ways. The American Legion exists to foster patriotism in many ways. I would like to take just a moment to thank Mr. Gibbs, Dr. Hicks, in Hart County High School for showing great patriotism in allowing Major Cadet Aaron O'Toole to attend Boys State 2009. He is the only one who has not been officially recognized. The girls that went to Girls State are Amber Jenkins, Rachel Slade. The boys were Aaron O'Toole and Kyle Holland. Is Cadet O'Toole, are you in the house today? And I thank you for allowing me to do that. He's the only one that has not been officially for thanks to recognition for attending Boys State. You can't ask me to come here without doing some American Legion business. And the American Legion business that I want to bring to your attention is Girls State, Boys State, and our oratorical contest will be coming up before we even know it. I know it's the beginning of the school year, but it is time for us to put together some folks to do that. And we will be calling on you, and I want to thank Dr. Hicks, and I want to thank Mr. Gibbs ahead of time for helping us supply those needs. Now, I'm here today to celebrate John Vickery. Now, John is a Hart County resident. He's one of us. And John, we don't want you to be nervous up here making your presentation because you're at home and you're one of us. I would like to tell you a little bit about John. John is a graduate of Hart County High School year 2000. He attended North Georgia College and graduated in 2004. Now, if I make a few mistakes, I'm old, so I can get by. He was chosen as his company commander of the year in his ROTC program. He attended U.S. Army Officers Training at Fort Benning, Georgia. He attended airborne training and ranger training also at Fort Benning. John has 2 tours of combat in Iraq with the 101st Airborne. He's a recipient of 2 Bronze Stars, 2 Iraqi Campaign Medals, the Army Accommodation Medal, the Parachute Badge, the Air Assault Badge, Combat Infantry Badge, and the Ranger Tab. Captain Vickery currently is the Assistant Operations Officer at the Ranger Training Brigade at Fort Benning. John, we welcome you. We salute you. Welcome home. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to offer a grand entrance and a grand welcome to Captain John Vickery.
Many ask why veterans did what they did. By the time I'm through talking to you today, hopefully I've answered that question. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to return to Hartwell, Georgia to recognize such a special group of Americans. It's a great day here in America, but as we enjoy our fall here, the changing of the leagues, and the football season, take a moment to realize the sacrifices that are being made as we speak. Right now, it's 5 p.m. in the Middle East. As the sun sets, a platoon of Marines are returning from a 9-hour patrol in the Anbar province of Iraq. An area that was once lost to the insurgency is now a symbol of peace. The Marines will get a few hours to relax. Some will sleep. Their leaders will be preparing for their next mission. And others will forfeit their opportunity to rest and call their families. They'll be back at it again in 4 hours. Right now, there's a naval mine clearing team searching for IEDs through a mountain pass in Afghanistan. Will they live to see another day? Only time will tell. That's not what's on their minds. They know they must succeed so supplies can be delivered to U.S. forces on outlying posts. And at this very moment, as I'm speaking to you, there are 35 Rangers preparing to conduct a midnight raid on a Taliban camp near the Pakistani border. Let us not forget that as we live our lives here in America, that there are people who have volunteered to stand as the country's shield on our behalf. 10 years ago today, I was sitting where you are now, a high school senior with really no idea what experiences I was about to endure. On September 11th of 2001, I was a sophomore at North Georgia College. That morning, I was on the phone with my dad as we watched the country come under attack. Twin Towers fell to the ground, and the Pentagon burned. 38 days later, Rangers were parachuting into the night over Afghanistan, and it was then that I knew what I wanted to do. Since then, one of the proudest things I've done is lead troops in combat. Combat often brings out the best and worst in people. I've seen men enjoy their highest highs and persevere through their lowest lows. But for most of us, we've become better for it. I now have a different view of the world that surrounds me. Bad days here in America just aren't that bad anymore. I've come to appreciate the little things. Things that I used to take for granted until I had to go without them. Things like the smell of clean air, the feeling of carpet under my bare feet, a home-cooked meal, spending Christmas with my family, or simply just sitting on the porch with my wife Jennifer, whom I was away from for nearly half of our married life. I have no regrets, and I would do it again without hesitation if called to do so. But today is not about me. While it is an incredible honor to stand among their ranks, it is about those who have gone before us. This is my opportunity to show my appreciation, talk about a few standout veterans, and communicate to you why they do what they do. So, who are these people that we call veterans? They're the fraternity of past and present men and women of service to our country. They are the fraternity of those who invaded Normandy, prevailed through overwhelming odds in Tarawa, and seized the initiative at Midway. They dared to cross the 38th parallel in Korea. They hunted down the enemy in the Iron Valley, and they parachuted into Panama. They devastated Saddam Hussein's Republican Guard in Desert Storm, landing a crushing blow to Iraq's insurgency, and they're the ones who will succeed in Afghanistan. They're the liberators of the oppressed, the quiet professionals, the volunteers. Some would argue that America should not be the world's police. We know what? That's what makes us better. We will help those who cannot help themselves. We will come to the aid of our friends, and we will do whatever it takes to assure the survival and success of freedom. To me, being a veteran is about three main things: honor, selfless service, and camaraderie. Honor is many things, all encompassed by veterans like Sergeant First Class Ralph King and Senior First Class Morris Vickery. Both World War II veterans, also both my grandfathers. They grew up to become part of what is known as the greatest generation. Not just a catchphrase, but a title to be taken literally. Seeing first class victory served aboard the light cruiser USS Atlanta. In 1945, as part of the Pacific Fast Carrier Task Force, he supported the Battle of Okinawa, participated in shore bombardments on Japan's home islands, and entered Tokyo Bay as the Empire of Japan surrendered. Sergeant First Class King was an infantry platoon sergeant in Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 343rd Infantry Regiment. The Battle of the Bulge survivor, Sergeant King led his platoon to the defense of the Rhine River's west bank, fought through countless engagements with German forces in Bavaria, and helped secure the war's largest German surrender of nearly 300,000 German soldiers. Both of these combat veterans voluntarily committed to serving their country. They never disgraced their arms, nor did they abandon their comrade who fought by their side. When they were alone or with many, they fought to defend things sacred and profane. And they handed down their country not lessened, but larger and better than they received it. Since then, the sailor and the late sergeant live quietly among us as honorable servants in their communities. They are the epitome of what each American should strive to be. When thinking of my grandfather, the words of Sam Damon, the character from the book Once an Eagle, come to mind. It says, "Not for fame or reward, not for place or rank, not lured by ambition or goaded by necessity, but in simple obedience to duty." As I said, being a veteran is about a lifetime of selfless service to others and our country. It's not over when we leave the military. This reminds me of a man named Rick Rescorla. In 1965, Lieutenant Rescorla was an infantry platoon leader in the Battle of the Iowa Drink Valley during the Vietnam War. This epic battle is described in the best-selling book and movie, We Were Soldiers Once and Young, by Lieutenant General Hal Moore and Joe Galloway. And ironically, Lieutenant Rescorla is the soldier actually pictured on the book's cover. General Moore described Rescorla as the best platoon leader I ever saw, and his men nicknamed him Hardcore for his bravery in combat. The war hero later retired as a colonel after a successful military career. 36 years later, Rick was still serving others as a security chief for Morgan Stanley in the World Trade Center. During his time there, Rick implemented numerous safety and evacuation procedures and even conducted disaster drills with the company's staff. On September 11, 2001, Rick was covering for a fellow employee so his friend could go on vacation. At 8:46 a.m., the adjacent tower suffered a stunning blow from the sneak attack carried out by fanatic terrorists. Although his tower was not damaged, he disregarded the building's officials' order to stay in place, took charge of the situation, and began to evacuate Morgan Stanley's employees who were spread throughout 20 floors. One witness remembers seeing Rick as high as the 72nd floor, clearing rooms, ensuring everyone was out. That day, Rick was credited for directly saving the lives of over 2,700 people. He was last seen going back into the building just before it collapsed. A lifetime of selfless service of one of the greatest of his generation. Rick led men and women in war and in civilian life by bringing them along to endure and display the qualities of fortitude that are beyond a man's thought of what he should be expected to do. He inspired them when they were exhausted, desperately uncomfortable, and in great danger, and only men of positive characteristics of leadership with the physical stamina that goes with it can function under those conditions. Finally, being a veteran is about camaraderie, something I first experienced here at Herndon Stadium and later in the Army. It's about the trust between close friends, knowing they'll go that extra mile for you, even if it means going out of their way. It is the brotherhood that is established while sharing adversity and when faced with a common enemy. And it very well could be the primary reason why I continue to serve. The veterans present know exactly what I'm talking about. With this in mind, camaraderie can be summed up in a short story through the words of a minister named Leslie Weatherhead. During a firefight in 1968, and a soldier was wounded and could not get back to safety, his buddy went out to get him. Again, against his officer's orders. The hero returned mortally wounded, and his friend, whom he had carried back, was now dead. The officer was angry. "I told you not to go," he said. "Now I've lost both of you. It wasn't even worth it." The dying man replied, "But it was, sir. Because when I got to him, he looked and said, 'Jim, I knew you'd come.'" And that, my friends, is why. In closing, to the veteran soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, you are simply ordinary people who did extraordinary things. It would be a stretch to believe that these extraordinary accomplishments are mere coincidence and not due to the discipline, motivational skills, calmness under pressure, and other leadership traits that are instilled in the greatest fighting force known to man. From the greatest generation to the latest generation, less than 10% of Americans can claim the title of military veteran. We owe each of you an awful lot, and our debt to you can never be repaid. Never has so much been owed to so few. You have earned our undying gratitude, and America will never forget your sacrifices. Again, I want to thank you for having me here again today. It's been a privilege. May God bless you all. May God bless the veterans in the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Baker, for your remarks and for your service to our country. It is now my pleasure to introduce Mr. Alan Talbert, Director of the HCHS Symphonic Band.
Next, the band would like to present for you Armed Forces Salute. Veterans in the house, when the musical selection for your service is played, we would like to ask you to stand. At the same time, members of the ROTC will be presenting the flag of your service.
Schools for Hart County, Dr. David Hicks, who will read the names of Hart County's honored dead.
It is my honor and privilege to read the names of the veterans from Hart County that were killed in action. Students, I just ask that you think about the fact that all of these names, most of these names, would have been just a couple years older than you when they served their country. So as I read their names, let's all give honor to them. Spanish-American War, George Reisner. Mexican Punitive Expedition, Dwight Rucker. World War I, John W. Adams. Owen J. Alford. Erskine Allen. George W. Kaysen. Preston B. Carter. Samuel J. Chapelier. William J. Connolly. Charles P. Dodd. James B. Estes. Henry Gaines. Anderson Harris. John R. Heaton. Oscar B. McCurley. Lawrence Nix. George W. Patterson. Claude Stevenson. Gilbert Thompson. Yancey J. Wilson. World War II. Clifford A. Alewine. Parrish D. Bray. Willie Lee Cape. Gordon B. Chastain. Clifford D. Drake. Jack C. Fleming. Lucius Franklin. Benny Lindsay Gaines. Lloyd R. Gaines. Brian M. Grigsby. Francis E. Haley. John Parks Harper. W. A. Hayes. Joel L. Herndon. J. T. House. Robert Johnson. Walker H. K. Fred M. Martin. Rankin Q. McGee. Clarence A. Murray. John G. Nelms. Joe Franklin Obar. Winston Obar. James W. Purcell. Clarence W. Rice Jr. Robert B. Richardson. Charles S. Roberts Jr. John E. Rucker. Frank Lee Sanders. Enoch A. Scales. Knox L. Scales. Frank Lee Seymour. Ralph Sherrard. Travis G. Smith. Holton D. Stovall. Thomas G. Welburn. William Wilcox. Jack C. Wilson. In the Korean War, Fletcher Gaines. Clarence Heaton Jr. McDoyle McLean. Carl Wesley Rowland. Amos Cleveland P. Temple. In the Vietnam War, Louis J. Clever. Ralph Gerward Cordell. Thaddeus Durrett. Bobby James. Galen Minor Smith. And Sammy Howard Whitworth.
We are joined now by Ms. Nancy Clark, Regent of the John Benson Chapter, National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution, for a special presentation. Following that, please remain standing for the playing of taps by the band
Ladies and gentlemen, students, distinguished guests, faculty and staff of Hart County High School, thank you for your attendance and respect during today's ceremony. This concludes our program.